Welcome to Big Life Weekly Series, where we empower high achievers to break free from limits, unlock their natural potential, and live a big life. I'm your host, Robert Acosta, and each week we will explore the strategies, mindsets, and tools you need to thrive, not just in your professional career, but in every aspect of your life. Whether you're a leader looking for a better balanced life, an entrepreneur aiming for sustainable success, or someone ready to take the next step toward your best self, this podcast is your space to grow, reflect, and take action. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, I'm Robert Acosta. I'm with David Soley, founder and senior partner of AI Strategies in Chicago, USA. Welcome, David.
Welcome, and Robert, thank you for having me today.
It's my pleasure. So let's jump right in and start showcasing your business. David, can you give us a 90-second overview of what your business does and why you got into it?
Yes, I can. AI Strategies, we started in October of 2024. We're an generative AI business consulting firm. We are focusing on three primary areas and areas of need and interest, and those are basically showing companies how to utilize generative AI to capture internal knowledge and expertise of their employees, as well as knowledge and expertise in their marketplace. In addition to that, we're also we're introducing a brand new tool to marketing. It is a multi-dimensional AI modeling tool. And third thing we're doing is we want to reduce the fear of AI, generative AI, to business communities. So one of the other things we want to do is we want to basically take the fear out of AI and instead introduce AI as a career builder and a means to promote your career, enhance your value for the business and protect your family by developing a new skill.
Right. So why did you decide to start doing that?
Well, I tell you, I've been in technology and strategy consulting for a number of years, and I saw a gap in the industry. There seemed to be a lack of tools that address the knowledge capture process. Business is basically, all business leaders are confronted with the fact their people are retiring, they're experienced with a lot of knowledge and expertise that needs to be captured. In addition to that, organizations, we're now in an internet AI generated world. We need new tools for market development, service creation, and there's a great need for that. And also, people need to be properly introduced to generative AI and how AI can impact their business, their career, their job. Generative AI is a tool for creating new business value for organizations. And I've used it. I've developed programs in it. It works.
It helps a lot, right? So
Yes, it does.
yeah. So you've been a lot of years, as you say, in consulting and marketing. So in those years, and even now that you're in this new enterprise, what do you enjoy most about the work you do?
Personally, a number of different areas. One, forming this organization with 7 other great people. We're all brothers, and it's great, working. I've always wanted to do something like this. Second is, basically, I'm a strategist, and I like focusing on helping organizations, improve their profitability, showing them how to use technology, process, and now generative AI, and how to advance their business and, push out that demand chain from the customer to the customer's customer, and using technology, strategy, business modeling practices to do that.
Yeah.
In addition, we got a great tool called ShareAvance that basically is used to help organizations capture that knowledge and expertise. and utilize it as an asset. And so I'm working with Cheravance, and the founder of Cheravance is John Sinowski. This tool is one of the critical tools for business to advance further into the 21st century.
Great. So working with so many solutions and I guess different kind of clients, how do you define success in the work you do?
Client success is based on meeting and exceeding the customer's outcome. It's exceeding their expectations, providing a value to them. In our case, we're showing them how to take employee knowledge, background, expertise, and working with individual departments and organizations, and showing them the value of having knowledge available to all employees, and then introducing a proprietary process on how they can capture that knowledge and expertise. And we're very process driven, and to be effective in using generative AI, you have to be a very process focused organization. You got to be thinking about the outcome you want to achieve, and more importantly, you got to be able to identify the critical success factors, the critical value activities, within your department, your organization, your business that you need to, address. And people ask me, how do you start using our tool? We start with, identifying an issue, an opportunity, and then once again, what kind of outcome or outcomes do you want to achieve? And not just for your own, not just within the four walls. I'm talking about the marketplace, the customers. What kinds of outcomes would they want to achieve or they need to achieve? So this is basically an outcome-driven platform, and then basically going out and collecting the knowledge and expertise, loading it into the Cheravance, and then teaching business users how to use it to, grow their business, more importantly, develop new skills, and expand their careers using Gen AI.
Wow. Well, it sounds a little bit complex, but
it is. But we, again,
yeah.
we like to simplify things. And
yeah, I think
that's critical. And as I just outlined.
Yeah, and I think as you mentioned, it could sound like complex, but if you're finding value in each step, that's the fun part. I say, okay, I don't know what I did this, but I found the outcome, little outcome until you get to the big outcome. But have those little wins during the process, make it a little bit fun or a little bit less boring or a little bit less complex.
Something else that happens, you start energizing your culture. Mm-hmm. You're getting lots of people involved. And, once you have your team involved and everybody's working together to achieve a common goal or objective, right, and you accomplish it, hey, that's good for the organization, that's good for the leadership team. Everybody's winning.
Right. Well, I'm just curious, with all these moving pieces, what is the biggest problem or challenge that you see in the consulting industry, and particularly in the process that you provide, and how are you solving it to be really to yourself and your clients or colleagues?
Well, I tell you what, how we're solving the problem and with every organization is we first start looking at your industry. What particular dynamics are occurring in the business, what events, advancements. So we look outside the business and kind of get an idea of what to expect. And then we look at your organization and we look at you as a business, what's the purpose of your business? What are you trying to achieve? What are your products and services? What are the means that you produce these products and services? What processes are most important for delivering value, right, creating value for your internal customer and your external customers? So it gets down to fundamentals. And these are all fundamentals that are applied for basically any strategy, business objective for any organization. So it's the fear of generative AI that comes later on. First, let's develop an understanding of your business, your customer, the processes to deliver value to your customers, and who needs to be involved. So it's basic business.
Right. So it seems that this can be applied to any kind of client, but who is your ideal client and what significant outcomes can they expect when they work with you?
Okay, our ideal client is going to be a small mid-market to starting at say 50, $80 million in revenue, all the way up to 2 billion, 2.5, 3 billion. However, what's happened, and we just started our business development process a couple weeks ago, we now have 2 client pursuits. They're both Fortune 500 companies. We're talking to senior leadership, one in particular where we're working with the CTO, and well, we're going to be calling on the CTO, who we already know. He reports to the CEO, and their big need is they want to capture the knowledge and expertise of their people before they retire. And they're an advanced tech company, so these are critical skills they want to maintain and keep. So you got to go out and find it and get that knowledge from the people.
Right.
So focus though, it's mid-market, mid-size, and searching out, looking for those companies that want to use generative AI, are focused on innovation, entrepreneurship, and customer value and customer management and experience. Those are the kinds of organizations we will want to work with.
Right. Well, you know how nowadays more people are actively seeking solutions to achieve better outcomes and faster solutions because the world is moving really fast. So what makes you unique in the way you help them achieve those outcomes?
Well, basically, we introduce ShareAbots, and we introduce it as a tool to capture the knowledge and expertise, and we introduce you to a process. It's a proprietary process where we start out, what's the big objective you're trying to achieve, and what are some other objectives aligned to that big objective. Then it's going in and looking for the critical information, the knowledge and expertise within the organization, capturing that, and then also at the same time going outside the 4 walls and finding out what are the latest advancements in your industry, technology, business-wise, what dynamics are affecting your demand chain, your customer markets. So we're doing 2 things at the same time. We're looking at everything within the 4 walls. We're also looking at everything outside the 4 walls, and we're trying to find opportunities. We're trying to identify potential issues or current issues, and then determining how can knowledge from your own people or outside can we collect, utilize, and eliminate these opportunities, eliminate these problems, and focus on achieving the business and market objectives you've already set out.
Right.
So in effect, what we're doing is we're turning issues into opportunities.
Yeah, that's
we're
great.
giving you knowledge that was not accessible. You now have knowledge, and one of the great things about knowledge is that there's a relationship between knowledge and innovation. You gather enough knowledge, the propensity for innovation occurs more rapidly. When you innovate, you're learning. You're learning new insights. You're learning more about the value of that innovation, and you're taking that experience of learning and applying it back into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a Pinocchio effect. One feeds the other feeds the other.
Right. And creativity. Through innovation, you need knowledge, creativity, and a little bit of not knowing something that you want to create because not necessarily have
And
that
it's
knowledge.
also, taking calculated, low risk.
Risks.
Now, you got to expect, hey, business, there's risk, and you got to think about that as you're doing this. But you want to anticipate the potential issues and have plans, strategies to offset those issues. So you're doing a little scenario planning at the same time.
Right. Right. Okay. So, well, let's change gears a little bit here, and let me ask you if you can share with us some one of the strangest or funniest incident that you have experienced while working in your consulting business any day.
Well, I don't like to be boastful. I really don't. But we had a presentation last week where we were showing share avance, talking about share avance, the value. And then we introduced the multi-dimensional AI modeling tool. And I was explaining it to the client prospect that look at this dimensional AI modeling tool as being equivalent to the periodic table. And as we all know, the periodic table is kind of divided up into categories, or they represent various elements. And I'm describing where you go into this one category and you pull out some elements, all value creation elements, and it could be, for example, business models. And then you go in and you look at the analysis box and you pull out some market analysis techniques. And then you go into the architectural component, you pull out some architectural assets to build the model or device or service. And everything is interchangeable. There's a number of individual compartments and that you draw on. And I'm explaining this to the client, and she's working for a Fortune 500 company. Her organization's doing business with the McKinseys and the IBMs and the Accentures of the world. She floored us. She came back and said, "I've never seen this before." So I think this was, because we have a great team. We put this together. We did it right, and now we have organizations wanting to learn about this and how they can use it in their business. Yeah. But so the aha moment was, hey, I've never seen this before.
Exactly. That's amazing for people that have been in the business or in the industry for decades, and then surprise those people. It's a challenge, but I think AI is really surprising everyone in every.
Well, I tell you, here's if I could inject this point. One of the challenges that we currently have in our economy as a nation and as a world is when we introduced generative AI a few years ago, we introduced it, we talked about this is what it can do, how it works. We had use cases that were successfully presented. But one thing we missed, and this is an area we're addressing, is how does generative AI work? How do you approach it? And what you need to do is, before you really get active in generative AI, you need to learn the thinking behaviors of people. How do people think? And there's a variety of techniques, thinking models, approaches, things we do every day, from driving a car to cooking a meal to brushing your teeth. I mean, there's just things we do, and that hasn't been brought out.
Right.
And so one of the things I did is I started, I've used these practices for decades, but I decided, let me introduce these thinking styles, methods of thinking, and how these methods of thinking align to how you use generative AI.
Right.
And I mean, to the point where I have, basically processes or methods for learning how to learn Gen AI. And I had a conversation with Tom Davenport, MIT, Deloitte.
Mm.
Met him back in November of last year, 2 years ago, at a conference. And I said, hey, the biggest issue right now with generative AI is no one's talking about the thinking process behind or required for generative. We need this. You're not going to learn generative AI if you don't understand or take time to learn how people think. And that is critical.
Yeah, that's as you say, it's a critical point, and since a lot of people are talking about AI and some using it, but not necessarily in the right way or not understanding what you just mentioned, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting within this consulting technology AI industry?
I think, okay, if you're looking at any organization, are you looking at consulting firms or are you looking at the client?
Now, let's say someone that want to do the same as you're doing or some similar, like provide AI insights to companies.
Okay, I think first of all, you need to have a good understanding of a business and how a business functions in today's world. So basic understanding of the operationalness of a business and how it produces value for customers. I think also you need to have a background understanding of business strategy and corporate strategy. Business strategy, as I tell people, that's the value creation, everything outside the four walls that you're delivering to a customer. Corporate strategy focuses everything within the four walls, focused on improvement, process, operational excellence, customer service, customer management. You need to understand those two. Then the third area would be IT. We have an overabundance of solutions and capabilities, core capabilities available to every organization. You're not going to use all of them, but you need to select the technologies that not only meet your current needs, but also address the upcoming needs. So you need to anticipate the future too, and where the market, where your people are going,
Right.
and select the proper technologies. And for a long time, if you look at, and I mean, I'm not a technologist. I mean, I know about technology, but I can't call myself a technologist. But we've had so many advancements that I think you got to step back and start identifying the interrelationships of these technologies, identifying how these are linked together, how they're connected, and how they produce value. And then, more importantly, you have to use process in order to properly implement these technologies and be realistic on the initial value you're going to generate and the future value you're going to generate once you become experienced in using the technology.
Right, that's a very good, comprehensive advice. So you just mentioned future. So let's talk about the future. What is the next growth area for you personally and your profession and in your business? What is that future that you envision?
Well, I tell you, we're, already, I mean, we've gone to some trade shows, and I would say probably nearly 70% of the organizations we talk to mention we need to capture knowledge of our employees before they retire or leave. So knowledge capture is going to be a big part of our business, introducing Shareavants to these organizations and getting them acquainted with the core capabilities of Shareavants. Big need. Currently, if you look at the world economies, particularly the United States, we're in the innovation entrepreneurial era. I mean, as soon as Donald Trump was elected, we started thinking like, innovation's big. They're taking down the regulations. We can start doing business again. So, recognizing that there's a lot of growth momentum. So for us to be successful, we need to select target markets. One of those, manufacturing. advanced technology, technical engineering services, retail. And what we want to do is we want to kind of create a value chain
Right.
and introduce the value chain to these organizations. And going back to multidimensional modeling and looking at that toolbox called business modeling, we'll be taking out the smart extended network value chain, or a classic industry value chain, as some people would refer to, and we're going to introduce them to this value chain model. And what we're going to do is we're not going to just focus on the immediate customer. We're going to focus on the next customer or the customer's customer, and then the customer's customer. And at the same time, we're going to introduce the external environment surrounding that demand chain and the resources that are available. We're also going to go back and look at that supply chain and identify resources, new advancements in technology, services, products that can help that business further advance. Right. So, this is you're looking at multi areas, multi dimensions. You got basically a core business, you got a supply chain, you got a demand chain, you got the environment, and you have the consumer or customer. You need tools that can help you do that.
Of course.
Which falls back into Sherevons, the value of Sherevons. We're capturing that knowledge, and we're providing that knowledge to your leadership, your line workers, people on the shop floor, plant floor, those that manage organizations and departments, and we're giving you a head start to advance in this economy.
Yeah, I think you're talking about intellectual capital, right?
Yes.
That people that has a lot of knowledge and apply it to their, but if they're gone, the capital gone, it's gone. So maybe you're trying to capture.
Well, I tell you, excuse me for interrupting. What is not being talked about is the cost of losing valuable employees. For a lot of organizations, particularly in the consulting services is probably, there's more turnover in the consulting service industry than probably any other industry. Yeah. And, you lose knowledge, hey, you're losing your practices.
Right.
And so one of our target markets also is going, working and introducing Sherevons to the consulting industry and saying, protect your knowledge. It's an asset.
Exactly.
And it's an asset that can grow. It's not like you buy equipment, yes, it has functionality and value, but it's limited. With people, that's knowledge that continues to grow and expand. And when you combine experts and you collect that information and knowledge, the propensity for innovation and growth, it expands.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, it's very interesting. Let me ask you this funny question now. If you could have lunch with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a great question, Robert. I that took more than a few minutes to think about. Actually, a few days. And,
yeah, I know.
I had a long list, and I said, Robert, I'm not going to give you my list.
No.
But I narrowed it down. Yeah, well, I got to think about you too, But narrowing it down, it came down to someone that indirectly was a mentor to me, and that was Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
Peter Drucker basically created modern management. GM was his first success story, and we know that story. Right. But what people don't realize, Drucker also introduced NBO, Management by Objective. He also took a look at the business and saw that what's really driving the business was the knowledge worker. And he introduced the knowledge worker to business decades ago, before we even heard about the value of knowledge. And then something else he did is he was a lead in basically introducing innovation. In his book, written in 1985, which I think is a classic. I found it, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But that is a classic book on how to begin an innovation process for your business. And he outlines in the book incongruities that organizations need to search for, because the incongruities are what makes a business. I mean, you can be a follower or you can be a leader. So in the book, Drucker's showing you how to become a market leader. And then he introduces entrepreneurship and the practice of entrepreneurship and how to succeed. So Drucker's my favorite. It's interesting sometimes, and I do a lot of writing. And if I'm going to start on a white paper, one of the things I'll do is I'll pick up in my library. I got a number of books by Drucker. I'll pick up a book, Profit for Growth. I'll start reading it just to get myself in step mentally on the paper. I'm good, and then it just everything. Hey, I'm in step. I can write my paper. Sometimes I refer to it as writing sheet music, but he without meeting him, he's given me a lot of thought. Unfortunately, Drucker doesn't get the recognition he deserves academically, but he's my guy.
Yeah, he revolutionized the world, I guess, like many others in backstory. So yeah, it's a good choice, I would say.
Thank you.
So what is the best way for people to contact you if they'd like to work with you or discuss referral partnerships?
I welcome new people on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I've done a lot of writing on LinkedIn. If you're interested in learning about AI, look at some of my prior posts. Also write about other things on LinkedIn regarding the geopolitical world. Second place would be David.Soley, and that's spelled S as in Sanders, OLEY, at AIstrategies.global. That's David.Soley at AIstrategies.global.
Perfect. Okay, so there you have it. So that was amazing, David. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for joining me on Big Life Weekly series. I hope today's episode gave you the insight, inspiration, and tools you need to move closer to the life you're meant to live. Remember, true success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about how you feel while you achieving it. If you found value in our conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others who are ready to embrace their big life. Until next time, stay focused, keep growing, enjoy life, and break free.